I'm Allison Howard, and I am going to be leading a little gentle yoga sequence for basically anyone that can get themselves down into the floor and then get back up again. Really, I see that as the only requirement for being able to come into this practice. So if that's you, welcome. And this practice is going to begin with just a little bit of very, very gentle movement and end with some restorative, gentle poses to calm the nervous system. So in my role at the university, I teach all about our nervous systems, and my feeling is that my students in this moment are going to have a lot of anxious tension as we move into the first week of November 2020. So I wanted to offer this practice as a little bit of a moment that you can take for self-care and checking in with your body and your mind this week. But it's also valid for any time that you might be feeling a little bit stressed, a little bit overwhelmed. This practice will be good for that. The only thing you really need for this practice is going to be some wall space. If you have some big pillows or perhaps a yoga bolster, these are great things to add on, but wall space is one of the main things. You don't even really need a mat for this practice, although it can help gain some balance and stability. So yeah, a bolster or some pillows and some wall space, and that's it. So if you want to pause the video here, go get those things and come back. We'll be here. Otherwise, we are going to find our comfortable seat. You can sit cross-legged like this. You can also sit up on your heels if that feels more comfortable in your body. If you'd like to bring one of those pillows up underneath the hips, just to elevate the hips up off of the ground higher than the knees, that can be a little comforting. And we will begin to find some stillness here. And as you sit, you're finding a little bit of steadiness, a little length through the crown of your head, a length in the spine, and a soft attention on your breath. Can you find a way to settle your attention onto your breath without trying to change it? And even as we sit here, we naturally are going to begin to elongate our breath as we find stillness. One really great way to calm the nervous system is to begin to intentionally breathe into the torso and fill the body completely with air, and then release that breath even more slowly than we breathed in. So on your next inhale, fill up belly, ribs, and chest with air. Slowly pause at the top. And on your exhale, completely release that breath all the way down to the bottom. Your belly button draws back towards your spine. Inhale, breathe up belly, ribs, and chest. Pause, and exhale, release that breath. One more breath just like that. Inhale, fill up belly, ribs, chest. Pause at the top. And exhale, sigh that breath out. If your eyes are closed, you can gently blink them back open. Find a gentle gaze, a soft gaze down toward the floor or toward your device. You bring your hands down to either side of your hips here. And on your inhale, lift your arms out and up. And exhale, take your right hand down beside your right hip and lift your left arm up. You can also sort of spin your torso up toward the sky, rotating just ever so slightly through the spine. Inhale, both arms up through the center. And exhale down to the other side. You might find that little bit of spinal lift, the ribs spiraling up to the sky. Inhale, both arms up through center. This time exhale and take a gentle twist. Your left hand comes to your right knee, your right hand back behind the back onto the ground. You can turn your gaze around and toward your back shoulder, gazing over the shoulder for a twist. Inhale, reach both arms up through the center. And exhale, twist it again to the other side. We're taking our spine through all of its natural movements. Before we settle into a couple of restorative poses, I like to get some of the movement out of my system, just to sort of settle my nerves. Inhale, reach both arms up through center. Nice. And exhale, hands come down. If you have a pillow underneath your hips, lift that away, put it back somewhere out of your way, and come down onto all fours, hands and knees, onto your mat or the floor. So we're setting up like a tabletop here. Knees are underneath the hips. Shoulders are directly over our wrists. We're going to take a couple of cat-cow movements. So on this, we're going to drop our belly, lift our gaze, lift our hips to the sky, and broaden through the collarbones. Exhale, round through the spine, drop the head. You can sort of gaze at your belly button here. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze to the sky, lift the hips, open through the collarbones. And exhale, round it. Again, drop the belly, lift the gaze into this cow posture. And exhale, round. So we're taking our spine through its natural movements. And release to a neutral spine. Now we're going to look back toward our right hip, making a C shape with the spine. And back through center. On the other side. And back through center. Nice. So now you're going to bring your right foot in between your hands. So you can come up onto your fingertips and just walk your toe forward until you get it in between your hands. And then, depending on your comfort, you might walk your hands up the leg and come to this low lunge position. One knee is planted, the other knee is bent. Take your arms and lift them up to the sky on an inhale. You can rotate out the wrists here, one direction, and then the other. And exhale, hands come down, frame off your right foot. Now bring your right knee back beside the left. Maybe switch the hips left and right. And get ready for the other side. So you're going to walk your left toes forward in between your hands. And then you can press yourself up. And inhale, lift your arms to the sky. This is a really good way to get some stretch into your hip flexors. Arms are reaching high. And exhale, hands come down. Your left knee comes back beside the right and swish it out. Nice. Sit your hips back onto your heels. Walk your hands forward in space. And bring your forehead down to the mat or toward the mat for a child's pose. And settle here just for a moment. Notice any tension you may be holding in the muscles of the jaw or the shoulders. Just allow that to soften. And when you're ready, walk your hands back toward your knees. You're going to come here to a kneeling position. Plant your hand on the wall. You may have to walk out a little bit from the wall. Yeah? And we're just going to sort of use this wall to open into the chest. Twisting the body with the hand planted on the wall, twisting the body in the opposite direction. And this is just opening through the pec muscles, getting a gentle opening. A lot of the time, if we're feeling a little bit anxious, we tend to hunch our shoulders down, rounding into the spine. So this can do a little bit toward opening through the shoulders and the chest. You can switch sides. Bring your other hand to the wall. And a gentle twist away from that hand. Moving my neck side to side because I can feel how much tension I'm holding in the back of my neck here. Okay, and release that. Come on down onto your back. So we're going to lay down onto our back. And we're going to begin by hugging the knees in toward the chest. And take a deep breath in and a long breath out. Nice. From here, we're going to let our knees fall over toward the right side. So the hips and the hips rotate and the knees fall over. They might come to the ground, they might not. And you can do what you like, whatever you like with your hands and arms. If you want to bring them to this kind of cactus goalpost sort of position, you can do that. If you have space, you can open them out into a wide T. You can just leave them resting gently on the body for a little bit more of a grounding, calming sensation. Softening here. Again, when you start to notice tension start to creep in, I always notice the tension creeping into my jaw. Just really gently remind yourself to release that. You don't actually have to hang on to all of that tension. Take an inhale Inhale, rotate your knees back up and through the center. And when you're ready, exhale and twist to the opposite side. Again, your knees might find the ground or they might not, and it might be the same on this side or different on this side from the other. And that's totally normal and fine. Also, if you like to stagger the legs here rather than having the knees stacked, that's fine too. Find a position you like for your arms in cactus or opening the arms out. And breathe. Breathing reminds the nervous system that it is okay to settle. Breathing is a really fantastic tool we have to activate our parasympathetic nervous system or our sympathetic nervous system, depending on what your desired effect is. You can either calm yourself down or rev yourself up with the breath. And when you feel ready, bring your knees up through the center. Now here is the part where you can make use of the wall. So if you have pillows on the wall like I do, you might scoot them out of the way. And you're going to bring your back side of your legs close to the wall. You can begin with your feet planted on the wall. And then you can sort of use that to press your booty toward the wall and find a way to extend your legs up the wall. You might like to make contact between the backs of your legs and the wall, but you might also prefer to keep your knees bent. So explore those options a little bit on your own. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but this pose, appropriately called legs up the wall, is absolutely one of the best things in the world to do for anxiety, for feelings of nervous tension. It really starts to calm the nervous system immediately. I begin to feel it. And breathe deeply here. Just notice sensation. Notice sensation throughout the body, not just in your toes and the backs of your legs or your hips. Notice the sensation in your fingertips, the crown of your head, your chest. If at any point this position starts to feel uncomfortable for you, you can just bring your knees down sideways and walk yourself out of it. We're going to stay here for just a couple more moments. And this kind of movement, in fact movement and stillness, is really such a great way to take care of yourself through stressful moments. Noticing your own body, noticing the thoughts that course through the mind, and just taking stock of them because every moment you return to a practice like this, they'll be different. So it's a way of sort of assessing your current state. Okay, so we can begin to come over down onto one side, coming down onto one hip, and then use the strength of your arms to press yourself up to a seat. Kind of awkwardly, not super gracefully. We're going to do that again in just a moment, but we'll stop that for now. We're going to come down and do a little bit of self-massage. So you've got all the tools you need here, your feet and your hands. So with the hands, we're going to begin down at the heel of the foot. And yeah, so you're just going to be making circles with your thumbs and moving them up into the arch of the foot, using the fingers to wrap around onto the top of the foot, and giving yourself a little bit of a massage on the feet all the way up to the toes, and then back down toward the heel. Massaging upward and downward, really just getting into the fascia of the foot. And then you can begin to change the massage movements that you use. You can use a sort of pulling, kneading motion, pulling your thumbs outward and sort of opening the foot. You can also really grasp the foot and almost like you're, some people say, breaking a popsicle in half. So you're pulling your foot around and out. Right, so you might be saying, why are we doing this? And it's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is sensation. So we are seeking out sensations in the body that ground us to the present moment. Noticing what this feels like in your feet right here, right now, is one way to be present for what is actually happening, rather than what you're worried might happen, or what is going to happen, or what happened 2 days ago. Another reason is that a lot of these sort of physical practices, these tactile practices that we can do, send signals to our nervous system to tell us that it's okay to be calm in this moment. So let's switch out. That foot got enough. Or maybe not. You're welcome to pause the video and keep going. Going back to our little circle motions, working our way up the foot. And then back down. Right, so particularly if you are in a place where you can relax completely and there's not a lot of pressure to what are other people going to think about me, this can be a really nice practice to do right before bed to calm yourself as much as you can. You can change that movement out to the pulling of the thumbs if you like. And then we'll break our popsicle, yeah? Up the foot and down. Nice. Okay. That being done, let's try this legs up the wall thing again. Okay? So swing yourself around. And we'll start again with the soles of our feet on the wall. Scooting our backside up toward the wall and extending the knees, extending the heels up toward the sky, or planting the feet on the wall. It's really up to you here. But what I want you to do right now is to notice how this version of legs up the wall might be a little bit different from the previous version. And one thing that I like to do, and lots of yoga teachers really encourage you to do is to notice, right? So we're always saying, notice how this is different from that. Notice the sensation here and there. And the reason for that is that this is a really grounding practice that helps us be aware of the present moment. And in that awareness, we're often calmed and experiences of anxiety can be alleviated. Okay. Walk your knees over to one side and find yourself back sitting on your mat in the center of your mat. Okay, we're going to do one more thing. We're going to do it on both sides, but the left and right sides. So this is the part where you can get a pillow. One option is to just have a big pillow like this. Even just a pillow that you sleep with is fine. If you have a really big square pillow, you can sort of like wrestle with it and make it more rectangular. And what you're going to do is put it onto the yoga mat or onto the ground and put your right hip right up against it so that you're sitting really close to it. If you have a yoga bolster, I really love a yoga bolster for this. And it's really just a pillow that's a little bit stiffer than a regular pillow. So you're going to, again, bring that right up against the hip. I said right, but that's your left. Your left foot is going to be on the inside of your right thigh. And then your right foot is going to be just angling back at sort of a right angle. So you're going to sit up tall through the crown of the head, one hand on either side of this bolster, and you're going to lift up through the crown of the head, pivot yourself toward that bolster, and begin to lower yourself down, walking the hands forward, lowering the torso down onto the bolster, and then bringing a cheek down onto the side of your pillow or your bolster. I'm going to put my head up because I have my earphones in for a microphone. I don't want to brush them. You can turn your cheek to face away from your knees, and sometimes that makes the twist a little bit deeper and more settling. And soften down around the bolster. We're still noticing, we're still aware, but maybe now invite a little bit of that soft awareness. Soften your awareness into the present moment, avoiding too much focus or attention on any one piece of your sensory experience. And when you feel ready, hands back on either side of the bolster. Press your chest up, walk your hands back toward your hips, and we'll switch it out for the other side. So swing your hips around, bring your right hip right up against your pillow or your bolster again. Find this angled position for your thighs. Sit up tall through the crown of the head, pivot toward the bolster, and then begin to lower yourself down onto your bolster, bringing
your head, your chest down. If you like, you can even pile a couple of pillows on top of one another to bring the mat closer to the body. Notice any place you might be gripping or bracing, and invite some softness in that place. Soften the chest around the bolster. Soften the head and the neck onto your bolster. And again, when you're ready, press yourself up to sit. If you have a pillow or a bolster, you can swing your knees around. And sometimes it is really nice to bring that underneath the knees. Right here. So what we're going to do now is just a really brief moment of stillness. So tent your knees over the bolster and then lie yourself back down onto your mat. You can allow the knees to open outward if that feels nice. You can open the palms of the hands up to the sky. And here we're just settling the breath and the body for a few minutes of stillness. A really fantastic way to quiet the nervous system and activate, in fact, the parasympathetic nervous system is to breathe in to a count of 3. Hold your breath at the top for a count of 4. And then exhale down to the bottom for a count of 5. So we'll try that together. When you're ready, release the breath completely. And inhale for 1, for 2, for 3. Pause and hold for 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 1, for 2, for 3, for 4, for 5. Inhale up for 1, for 2, for 3. Pause at the top for 1, 2, 3, 4. And release for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Softly release that breath. Return your breath to normal. And soften. If you have time and you would like to stay here, you're welcome to stay right here on your mat for a few more moments of stillness. I want to thank you so much for trying this out with me. I am Allison Howard, and it has been a pleasure to be on the mat with you today. Thank you.